Good evening. That was creepy. What's going on? Want to make a video today about my transformation that's taken me about 20 years or so, where I've put on about 100 pounds of muscle in 20 years. And I mean, it doesn't sound too crazy, but for someone like me who is what they call a hard gainer, or like your classic ectomorph, just skinny, lanky type of person, it's not easy for me to gain weight. So gaining about 100 pounds is over the last 2 decades has been quite difficult. But I just want to make a video kind of like giving a little background as to how I did it, and then some tips for skinny people like me, or well, not so skinny anymore, but who used to be really skinny. So quick background, basically, I grew up extremely skinny and weak, and was like that for basically all my childhood. And around when I turned 18, I decided that I was tired of being so skinny and weak, and was very self-conscious about it, and was tired of people asking if I was anorexic and stuff, which I wasn't. I just, I couldn't gain weight. So I got really into nutrition and weight training. I did a lot of research, and basically had to stop running because I was a runner in high school. I did cross-country running and track and field. And after my cross-country running season, I decided that I was not going to do track in the spring, because I really wanted to focus on gaining weight, and the extra cardio was not going to be conducive to that. So I was supposed to be, I believe, one of the captains of the track team, but it wasn't a priority for me at that point. A priority was just getting bigger. So I basically did a lot of research on, proper nutrition, and also, effective, like how to actually train, like weight train, and programming and coming up with workouts that would be effective for me. Which honestly, when you're like that new to resistance training, I mean, you don't even have to do a good program. You can just look at a dumbbell and you're gonna like start growing. But eventually, to keep making progress, you have to be smart about your training. So I started off, I don't remember the exact program I did, but I started actually tracking, like going to the gym consistently and recording like my workouts and what I was doing for exercises, and all the acute variables like sets, reps, and all that stuff. And really started to eat, like basically being like cognizant of what I was eating, how much I was eating, and making sure I got a lot of protein in. And it's around when I started taking protein powders and stuff like that, just to and other supplements, just to help supplement with the main food I was eating. So I probably put on about 25, maybe even 30 pounds within the first year, because it's just they call like the newbie gains. So basically, like, you're able to put on like a lot of muscle pretty quickly when you first start out, and then over time that actually slows down as you get more advanced, and as you've been doing it longer, and as you put on more muscle, your gains are going to slow down. So I probably got up to within 2 years of lifting. So I basically started out about 130, 135 pounds maybe, at about my current height, which is 6'3". And within a few years, I was probably like around in the 170s to 180s. So, significantly heavier. And over these 20 years or so, I haven't always been super consistent with my training and nutrition, but I'd say, like, especially the last 5-6 years, I've been pretty consistent. As I've gotten older, I've really focused on my resistance training and my diet and everything. And I've been, within the last few years, I've been the heaviest that I've ever been consistently, which is, between like 230, 240. I believe around the heaviest I've ever been was about 245 pounds. And I'd say I'm currently close to about 240 right now. My goal weight is to hit 250, but it's just that magic number that I've just had a really hard time trying to get to. So anyway, as far as like advice, what I'd say helped me the most, first diet-wise, is if you're a naturally skinny person, if you believe in the body types, the ectomorphs, endomorphs, mesomorphs, and you're that classic ectomorph, the person who just can lose weight easily, who's just naturally skinny, not usually hungry that much, high metabolism, usually people on the taller side, just kind of long limbs, stuff like that, which, I fit that description perfectly. You just have to constantly like eat, and it gets to the point where it gets annoying, but it's just like almost force feeding yourself and eating when you're not hungry. And the best way to do that is just to have a lot of small meals throughout the day, as opposed to just trying to eat a few larger meals. And, I had to carry around food everywhere for like the longest time, especially when I was really trying to gain weight. Now that I'm at a weight, like around a weight where I want to be, just to maintain, I don't have to be so vigilant with my diet. But when you're really trying to gain weight and put on like new muscle, it's just, you gotta constantly eat and make sure you're in a caloric surplus, and having some idea kind of like what your basal metabolic rate is, which is just basically the amount of calories you burn not doing anything. Just having like a baseline of that can be helpful, because then you can kind of figure out what you need to eat just to maintain, and that's not even taking into account any type of activity, and then try to account for the activity, and then just try to eat above that, being a 200, 300, 400 calorie surplus. You got to be in a calorie surplus in order to put on muscle. So eating a lot and eating a lot of protein. I try to get like a gram per pound of body weight, which I don't normally, or I don't always do that. Lots of times I come up short, but if I can get like 200 grams in a day, I'm pretty happy. And then I don't really focus as much on how much carbs or fat I'm getting, but I still kind of try to record it. But what helped me like really put on weight anytime I was having like issues was just, it's a pain in the ass, but you actually get used to it, where you just like weigh your food. And then there's different apps you can use in the phone where you plug in what you eat and the quantity, and you can calculate the calories and the macronutrients. So then you have an idea of like how much calories and macronutrients you're getting in the day. And it's helpful because lots of times people think they're eating more than they actually are. So it's useful for gaining weight. Obviously for losing weight, it's useful too, but this video is just about gaining weight. So I'm not going to go into how to lose weight, because that's never been an issue for me. And I know for most people, they have the opposite issue, but there's a lot of people like me who, I go into the gym now, and I see all these high school and scrawny high school and college age guys who are just like, that remind me basically of like how I used to be. And the funny thing is too, even like the real scrawny ones, they were still probably bigger and stronger than I was at that age. But, it's just, I've made a lot of progress since then. But, and then that's just like the diet piece. And then with the training, it's basically, you got to record what you're doing, whether it's old fashioned way of just writing it in a notebook, or if it's logging in on your phone, if you have an app or something you can use, because I mean, progressive overload is definitely key. Every time you go to the gym, you want to try to at least do more sets, more reps, or add more weight to like an exercise that you were doing before. And if you can kind of consistently do that and consistently get stronger, then it's going to help with the strength gains. Everything are going to help with the hypertrophy too. And I'm not going to go into like the specifics on like how to train for strength versus hypertrophy versus power versus muscular endurance. I mean, that's just kind of out of the scope of this video, but I can make other videos on that. But and this also, doing a program, I think like basic compound movements are great, especially for beginners, just trying to get good at the basic compound movements and just increasing the weight, and that's going to give you the most bang for your buck versus doing a bunch of like isolation exercises with cables and machines. I mean, they have their place, and honestly, the the workout routine I'm doing now is kind of like a body part split, because I just need to give my body and my joints kind of a break from heavy lifting. So I'm kind of doing more of that bro split type of thing where you're doing a lot more isolation exercises and using like more machines and cables. But it just, I don't think it's the most effective way to train. But I'm also getting older, so I'm just more careful about just lifting heavy and stuff. But I think if you're starting out, just doing like even like a basic 5x5 program to just really start to build up that strength, that's going to give you the most bang for your buck, and it's going to help you really like gain like muscle the best way. I mean, there's other programs you can do, but that's something I'd recommend. And it's really, whatever program you do, it's being consistent and doing it for a while. I mean, eventually your body's going to adapt and you're going to have to switch up your training, but you should get something at least like a few months, of a go, and really just dedicate yourself to that program and just trying to make improvements every single workout, which you won't always be able to. You're not going to literally like go up in weight every single time you work out. I mean, there's gonna be times when you won't be able to do as much. You might have to do a deload, but as long as you're kind of overall like getting stronger, then that's what's important. So yeah, so basically, one other thing I will mention, because I feel like it'd be kind of deceitful not to, and want to be very transparent about everything on this channel, is that I did about 4 years ago, I got on hormone replacement therapy because I went and got checked out, and my testosterone levels were kind of on the lower side. I mean, they weren't super low, but like the low end of normal. And I, just kind of wanted to be higher. And I decided to start taking testosterone injections, which I do twice a week. I inject 100 milligrams twice a week. So I'm doing 200 a week, which is probably about the average TRT dose. I mean, it's definitely around like the max that the doctor's going to give you. And I will say that it helps quite a bit. I mean, I naturally had built up, most of like what I have now I built up naturally as far as, muscle mass and strength. And I was probably about 225, even got up to maybe about 230 pounds, naturally, before I ever went on the TRT. And then being on the TRT, I probably was able to add at least another 10 pounds, maybe even a little bit more of muscle, like pure muscle, and lose a little body fat. And it also helped my strength go up quite a bit, especially like upper body pushing strength. Like my bench press probably jumped like 50 pounds, like increase within a few months. Like it definitely works. But it's something I don't like to talk about a lot. Like I will never deny it. If somebody asks me if I'm on it, like I'd never lie about it. But I feel like it kind of takes away from all the hard work I put in over the years. It kind of minimizes it. doesn't take away from it. But a lot of people don't understand that, taking testosterone or other steroids or whatever, it's not this magic pill or injection that's gonna just make you like turn into the Hulk. It doesn't work that way. You have to put in the work, and you have to be consistent with your training and your diet, or you get a little bit of results for sure. I mean, versus being natural, but it's not going to give you, unless you're like some hyper responder to the drugs, it's not going to like give you that much. It's not going to make that much of a difference if you're not putting in the work. But it definitely like made my shoulders and my traps and everything kind of blow up quite a bit for sure, because they have the highest like amount of androgen receptors are kind of like in those areas. So yeah, as you can see like in the pictures up here, like they definitely helped help my shoulders become a lot more broader and stuff. But it's not something I'm advocating people do or whatever, especially younger people. I mean, if you're young and you do have a legitimate like medical condition where you have very low testosterone levels, then it could definitely be warranted for sure. But I personally wouldn't even thought about doing it until I was like in my mid-30s. And, it's a decision that I'm comfortable with, making, and having this be like a lifelong commitment, because it makes me feel better overall. And I get blood work done often, and it hasn't adversely affected my health at all. I haven't really noticed any side effects besides like it has increased my acne a little bit at times, but I was always very prone to acne, and it really hasn't made that much of a difference, especially lately. So yeah, anyway, that's basically all I got. Just kind of want to give you a little overview. I mean, honestly, my genetics for putting on muscle are probably some of the worst out there. Like, I was not genetically blessed at all. I feel like I was supposed to be just a very skinny, physically weak person, and I overcame it because I put in a lot of work and hard work, and now I'm bigger and stronger than most people. But I never in a million years, like when I was younger, would have ever thought I'd end up being like this. But it was just something I really wanted. And it's like, if you really want something bad enough in life, usually you can find ways to go about like achieving it. So yeah, anyway, that's basically all I got. So if you got any questions for me about anything, about training, diet, TRT, whatever it is, just put in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer anything. And I'm really trying to get this channel kind of like going. So if you like it, the video resonates with you all, please like the video, subscribe it, share it, all that stuff that people say at the end of their videos. So yeah, that's all I got. I hope you found this video informative, and for like little skinny guys out there, trust me, there is hope. You can definitely put on a lot of lean muscle, like mass, if you really dedicate yourself to it. So until next time, peace out. Have a good night.